Have you ever wondered, what is true love? Is it the desire to be with someone forever? Is it the happiness that comes when our affections are returned? Or perhaps, is it something much deeper, something that transcends mere attachment and longing? In this world, love is often spoken of in poetic verses and passionate declarations. We're told that love completes us, that it is the answer to our loneliness. But have you ever stopped to ask, does love always bring happiness? Or does it sometimes bring suffering instead? Many people, in their search for love, find themselves trapped in a cycle of joy and sorrow. They rejoice when they feel loved, but suffer deeply when love is taken away. They hold on to love as if it were something to possess, something to control. But is this the nature of true love? The Buddha taught that all suffering arises from clinging, from the desperate need to hold on to things that are impermanent. And love, when misunderstood, can become another form of attachment. But does that mean we should abandon love? No. Instead, we must learn to love differently, to love in a way that is free from selfish desire, a love that seeks not to own but to nurture. Today, let us embark on a journey of understanding. Let us explore the difference between love and attachment, between the fleeting emotions of passion and the boundless compassion of true love. In doing so, may we uncover a love that is not a source of suffering, but a path to peace. Holding love with open hands, the path to true love and freedom. My dear friends, love is something we all seek. It is as natural as the breath we take, as essential as the warmth of the sun. Yet, in this world, love is often misunderstood. Some believe that love is about holding on, about possessing someone so that they may never leave. But when we try to grasp love tightly, it slips through our fingers like sand. Let us pause for a moment and reflect. Does love bring suffering? Or is it our attachment that causes pain? In the teachings of the Buddha, we learn that true love is selfless, while attachment is rooted in craving and clinging. Imagine a bird resting on your open palm. If you close your hand tightly, the bird will struggle, fearful and in pain. But if you leave your palm open, the bird may stay willingly at peace. This is how love should be, free, without force, without fear. There is a great difference between love and attachment. When one truly loves, one says, I wish for your happiness whether or not I am a part of it. But when one is attached, one thinks, why are you not making me happy? One is based on giving, the other on demanding. Let us look at the love of a mother. When a child is born, the mother gives everything, her time, her energy, her very body, to nurture the baby. She does not love because she seeks something in return. She loves simply because love is in her nature. This is the kind of love the Buddha encouraged us to cultivate, not just for our children, but for all beings. The Buddha spoke of this in the Metta Sutta, saying, just as a mother would protect her only child with her life, so should one cultivate boundless love for all beings. This is true love. It is not limited to one person, nor does it seek to possess or control. It is expansive, unconditional, and free from selfish desire. But how do we cultivate such love? How do we love without attachment? The answer lies in understanding impermanence. Just as the clouds shift in the sky, just as the river flows without ever holding on to its waters, so too must love be allowed to move freely. If we love deeply, but do not cling, we experience love without suffering. This is the path of freedom, to love in a way that does not bind, but liberates, to give without expecting, to care without possessing. If we learn to love like this, then love will no longer be a cause of suffering. Instead, it will be the source of our deepest peace. The difference between true love and attachment. In this world, people often say they love someone. But what do they truly mean? Is it love or is it attachment? These two may seem similar, but their nature is very different. Attachment is grasping, the urge to possess, to control, to demand that another person fulfills our desires. It is like a person clutching a handful of water. The tighter they grip, the more the water escapes. The more we try to hold on to someone, the more fear and suffering arise. Fear of losing them, fear of change, fear that they will not always be as we want them to be. True love, on the other hand, is giving. It is an open hand, a heart that wishes happiness for another, even if that happiness does not depend on us. It is a gentle breeze that cools all who pass through it, a river that flows freely without demanding anything in return. Now let us reflect. How do we know whether we are truly loving or merely attached? The answer lies in the emotions that arise within us. When we love someone and they are happy, even if their happiness is not with us, we feel at peace. That is true love. When we expect them to make us happy, when we feel hurt because they do not act as we wish, that is attachment. Consider the way the moon reflects in a still pond. The moon does not try to hold on to the pond, and the pond does not try to capture the moon. They exist in harmony, each allowing the other to be as they are. This is how love should be, without force, without control, without the need to own. A man once came to the Buddha, suffering from heartbreak. He said, "I loved her, but she left me. Now, I am drowning in sorrow." The Buddha asked him, "Did you love her, or were you attached to the idea of her being yours?" The man was silent. Then the Buddha said, "If your love was true, you would rejoice in her happiness wherever she may be. But if you suffer, it is because you are clinging to what was never truly yours to begin with." This is the nature of attachment. It arises from the illusion of ownership, from the belief that another person belongs to us. But no one can ever belong to another. We are all like travelers, walking our own paths, sometimes meeting, sometimes parting. If we wish to love without suffering, we must learn to let go. Let go of the idea that love means possession. Let go of the need for someone to complete us. Let go of the fear of change. When we do this, love becomes a gift, not a burden. It becomes a source of joy, not pain. And in that freedom, we discover a love so vast, so boundless, that it embraces all beings with kindness and peace. The Buddha's teachings on true love. What makes love pure? What makes it true? The Buddha did not speak of love in the way the world often does, with desire, longing, or attachment. Instead, he taught us about a love that is vast, selfless, and unshaken by conditions. A love that is rooted not in possession, but in compassion, patience, understanding, and selflessness. 1. Loving with compassion, karunā. Compassion is the heart of true love. When we truly love, we do not think only of ourselves. We deeply care for the happiness and suffering of the other. Compassion does not say, "I need you to make me happy." Instead, it says, "I wish for your happiness, even beyond my own." Imagine seeing a bird with a broken wing. If you have compassion, you do not ask, "What can this bird do for me?" Instead, you naturally feel the wish to help it heal. This is true love, not seeking benefit, but simply wishing well. The Buddha taught that boundless compassion should extend to all beings, not just those we are attached to. When we cultivate this, our love becomes wider, freer, and no longer a source of suffering. 2. Loving with patience, khanti. Patience is another essential quality of true love. To love is to accept, not to demand that others meet our expectations, but to embrace them as they are. Too often, love turns into frustration when we try to change someone to fit our desires, but true love allows space for growth, imperfection, and transformation. Think of a gardener tending to a tree. He does not pull on the branches, demanding that they grow faster. Instead, he patiently nurtures it, knowing that in time, with care and the right conditions, it will flourish. Love should be like this, gentle, patient, and free from force. 3. Loving with deep understanding, paññā. Understanding is what allows love to endure. Without it, love becomes fragile, easily broken by misunderstanding, expectations, and miscommunication. The Buddha taught that to truly love, we must first understand not just the happiness of another, but their struggles, fears, and burdens. When someone is angry or distant, do we react with hurt and resentment? Or do we pause and ask, what pain are they carrying? What do they need? Love is not just about joyful moments, but also about being present in suffering, listening deeply, and offering our hearts with wisdom. 4. Loving without selfishness, anatta. Perhaps the greatest test of love is whether it is free from self-interest. Many say they love, but what they truly mean is, I love how you make me feel. But what happens when that feeling changes? When the person we love no longer meets our expectations? The Buddha taught us to love without clinging, to love as the sun shines, giving warmth freely, without asking anything in return. When we love without the need to possess, love is no longer a burden, but a source of deep peace. Love should never be a prison, nor a transaction of expectations. If we wish to love as the Buddha taught, we must cultivate compassion, patience, understanding, and selflessness. When we love in this way, love becomes a path, not of suffering, but of joy, wisdom, and liberation. Loving without suffering. The path to unselfish love. How can we love without suffering? How can we open our hearts to others without being consumed by fear, expectation, or pain? This is a question that troubles many, for the world teaches us that love and suffering are inseparable. But the Buddha, with his boundless wisdom, showed us another way, the way of loving with freedom, with wisdom, and without attachment. Too often, when we love, we unknowingly place conditions on our love. We expect something in return: affection, commitment, loyalty, or even the mere presence of the other person in our lives. But expectation creates suffering. The more we demand, the more we fear losing what we believe we own. And when love becomes a transaction, I give you my love, so you must love me back, it ceases to be pure. If we truly wish to love without suffering, we must shift our focus from wanting love to giving love. A heart that gives without demand is a heart that never feels empty. A tree does not ask the birds to stay in its branches forever. It simply offers shade, shelter, and rest without expectation. This is the nature of true love: to give, to nurture, to wish for the happiness of another, even if their path leads away from us. Some may ask, but if we do not attach, does that mean we will feel nothing? Does that mean love will be cold and distant? No, my friends. The absence of attachment does not mean the absence of love. In fact, it allows love to flourish in its purest form, without fear, without pressure, without selfishness. Let us consider this. When you see a beautiful sunset, Do you try to capture it and keep it forever? No. You simply appreciate it as it is, in that moment, knowing that it will fade, but that its beauty is not lost. Love should be like this, not something to grasp, but something to experience fully, with gratitude, without possession. One way to cultivate such love is through mindfulness and patience. When we are mindful, we recognize when attachment begins to creep into our hearts. We notice the subtle ways in which we seek to control or expect something in return. And with patience, we remind ourselves, may I love for the sake of love itself, not for what it brings me. Another way is through practicing Metta, loving kindness. The Buddha encouraged us to extend unconditional love to all beings, not just those we are attached to. When we train our hearts to love selflessly, we develop the capacity to love deeply without suffering. So, let us not love with chains. Let us love with open hands and open hearts, so that love, instead of becoming a source of pain, becomes a path to peace, wisdom, and boundless joy. A final reflection: loving as the Buddha taught. My dear friends, let us take a quiet moment to reflect. Have we been loving with freedom? Or have we unknowingly bound ourselves with the chains of attachment? Have we given love selflessly? Or have we sought to possess, to control, to demand? Love should never be a source of suffering. If it brings us pain, then it is not love. It is craving disguised as love. True love, as taught by the Buddha, is unconditional, vast, and free. It does not hold others captive. It does not say, "You must stay, you must love me, you must never change." Instead, it whispers, "May you be happy, may you be free, may you walk your path in peace." If you find yourself suffering in love, do not despair. Recognizing attachment is the first step toward liberation. When we learn to love with wisdom, we transform love from something fragile and fearful into something strong, radiant, and boundless. So, let us love in a way that does not hurt us. Let us love in a way that nourishes, uplifts, and liberates. And as we do, may our love be a light, not just for ourselves, but for all beings. May you love with wisdom. May you love with peace. May you love with an open heart.